Hello, welcome to Swatches Livestream number 5. We'll be doing some portfolio reviews, looking at some submissions from last week's art challenge, and be doing some live paintovers, and of course be taking your live questions here from the comments. So, I appreciate you joining. Let's cue the intro. I knew I forgot something. I did not grab my mic. All right. There we go. Yeah, I forgot to bring my my earbuds from my house, so I had to grab one from the other computer here. But that should work just fine. Pamela, thanks for joining. Always appreciate your questions. You always come up with some good questions, so I appreciate that. And Nick, welcome back. Thomas, good to see you again. Federico, thank you for joining. Twinkie House, how old am I? I am 34. Yeah, Eastwood's in the house. I'm sorry, I'm a little behind. I just got here and just got set up before I started going. And I actually don't have some of my files prepped, but as usual, just do a couple minutes of casual chat here for everybody to kind of roll in, and then we'll get started with some of the reviews. Meanwhile, I'm going to open this up sort of get everything arranged where we are. Now, if you want to submit me a question here in the chat, I can only glance at that. I do have to keep my eyes on other stuff. So I believe if you put @Swatches, it will flag it for me, and it's easier for me to see questions specifically towards me, and I will try to answer those during the process. But if you're just talking to each other, don't put @Swatches if you're having your own conversation. Hey, welcome, Columbia, cool, thanks for joining from all the way over there. Am I doing Inktober? I will do part of Inktober. I don't know that I'll be able to do every day, but I have been thinking about some stuff to be inking, and yeah, I guess it's already the 2nd, right? So I've missed 2 days. But I'll try to put up some inks on my Facebook. If you have not been following me, follow me on Facebook. I have 2 Facebook accounts. One is my only art stuff, and one is just for me. You can follow me at both of those, frankly. It doesn't matter to me. Hola Espanol? Very little. I grew up in Texas, so I did learn a little Spanish, but I use it so infrequently that I forgot most of it. Okay, of course, last week we put the character challenge to you guys, and I was really impressed how many responses we got from that. It looked like you guys really enjoyed that, so I will go ahead and kick it off with doing another one, and I think that would be cool. So what I need is to open up a tab here for a random number generator so we can come up with our random character. OBS out of my way here. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Let's see what character we come up with. Make another layer. We can highlight what we would be doing. Multiply. So 1 to 40 on the first one. Generate that. 36. All right, it will be an adventurer. I already like the sound of this. It's cool. I've been sketching some adventurer people lately. So, okay, adventurer. Next one for distinguishing element, 32. It will be some sort of headpiece. Cool. Oh, I got to change that 1 to 20 on the species. Run that again. 16, a troll adventurer. Awesome, I like that. Genre 1 to 20, it will be a science fiction genre. Motif 1 to 20, 5, a snake. Okay, so talking about the motif, a snake design, it could be either a snake tattoo on a person. It could be armor that has snake designs in it. It could be that he uses snake scales on part of his, attire. Just something incorporating snake theme throughout it. Time period, 1 to 10. Let's see what we get. 3, Middle Ages. Oh, that fits a troll really well then. Awesome. Science fiction genre and Middle Ages. You know what? I might adjust that. I'm going to adjust it. Frankly, let's go ahead and just say fantasy. I'm going to alter that. Those two just really don't go together very well. Okay, we'll do it that way. Then gender, what do we get? 2, female. Female, we have a female troll adventurer who has a distinguishing headpiece that has some sort of design of snakes in it. In a fantasy Middle Ages. All right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Cardrassa, that's a pretty cool character. I think that could work really well. Malik, thank you. I'm glad you were able to join us on time. Good to have you here. Yeah, so you will have a week to sketch that up and then send it in before the next stream. Now, I will tell you right now, there's a good possibility I'm going to actually be on the road, like driving this time next week. So do follow me on the Facebook. I'll put it out there. Facebook.com/KirleyArt. And I will put it out there if I will be streaming. If I don't put it out there, I'm not going to be streaming because I will be on the road. But I'll try to advise you either way. Make sure you follow me out there. Okay, now I can get rid of this. Or I can open a new one. There we go. I'm just prepping some stuff for... Oh, I know that Photoshop trying to tell me how to do this. Almost a witch doctor S from Diablo 3. Yeah, that's actually a good place for inspiration. Go take a look at the Diablo 3 stuff. They have some really good characters, the trolls, and the witch doctor design with the, it's a sort of mask. It's like a wooden mask with lots of feathers coming off the top of it. Still no super chat button. Yeah, you have to go through the entire monetization process, and I'm not finished with it yet. You have to go through all their setup, and then they have to verify your account, and you have to link in your bank account and stuff, and I'm not through the whole process yet, but hopefully it'll come pretty soon. Of course, World of Warcraft also has trolls. You can go take a look and just see kind of what the distinguishing features are of that race. Where can we get it? You know what? I'm going to just jot it right in here in the chat, and I will list it here in the comments section under the video before I forget. Okay, character challenge outline. Or I could just copy and paste it from Glacius's comment. That would be faster. There we go. Cool. Yeah, there we go. All right. All right, enough the chit chat. Let's take a look at some stuff here. That is not the right file. Close that out of the way. So instead of just doing the normal portfolio reviews where I just randomly pick a portfolio, what I thought I'd do first is let's take a look at some of the submissions from last week. I mean, there's just as many good things to go over on those as there are galleries themselves. So I'm going to switch over here to screen, move these guys out of the way. And again, I cannot see your comments while I'm on my full screen because I don't have a second monitor. But let's open up a couple of these in Photoshop. Now, I don't remember the name of everybody. Some of these do have the name up here, like Francel. But you will forgive me if I don't remember your name from it. Okay, I think that this does really good with a lot of the points. I do get the idea that he could definitely be some sort of guard character. I'm not really getting the mutant feeling from the character. I think that's one of the negatives, is that he seems very human and he just has a suit on. But I like a lot of the shapes. It's good. He does have the sort of distinguishing eyes because they're very stark. I would say that if you were gonna just improve the character a little bit, get off of that one. I think his legs might be just a little short. Like, if you look at the ratio there, I think it might be good just to pull his legs down a bit further. But not a big deal. It depends. He could be a mutant. You could mutate him by like even making his arms, decidedly extrally big. Or another thing that would really work, I think, good for this sort of character design, 4 arms. Give him like 2 more arms. And that would really work. It would go into design. You could work it into the design real easy. And it would obviously make him more mutant. So that's pretty cool. Liked seeing that one. Nope, don't save. Definitely have more of the mutant feeling going on here. This is cool. The little synthetic, muscles and wires and stuff going on inside of that. Obviously, he's taken the distinguishing eye a different direction, being artificial. Has some sort of beam or radar or light or something come off of that. This guy's, not in too good of shape. He looks pretty beat up. So where could you go from here? Looks like you're trying to make this guy really threatening, but he also looks kind of scrawny. So I'd either play it up like really one way or the other. Like here, I get the feeling you're trying to make him kind of beefy and strong looking, but yet he is kind of like smallish. Overall, you could probably get his head here in this general area. Oh, there we go. If you just make that a little smaller, it will make his body seem bigger. And I know that you have a thing on his head that makes his head look bigger, but it also just makes his head generally look a little too big to make him look too ominous as far as size-wise. So, and you give him more of that V-cut, really big lats back there. And then you can bulk up that shoulder. Like, he's being artificially made really, really strong and big. Gives him a lot bigger biceps. Not a lot, but I think it sort of changes how you would approach the character. I like the mix here. He's got like the big metal pieces here, and just the torn pants. I don't know that the pants would bunch up as much right there, so it might have a little bit smoother spot. It's likely to bunch up here a lot, and then some right around that, and then maybe not quite so much along the top there, or it would turn. It would like follow the direction a little bit more. It's like these would be coming here, then it would be reaching across, and it's likely to go a little more taut across the top as it's being stretched the long way. That's a small thing, but might help a little bit. And that is only going to go as far as his knees, so that's probably going to be not quite that far. And then we can play up some of those folds there on the back. Yeah, he does have that right. It would fold off the front as much as it could, as much space it had. Yeah. This build is kind of fun. Not a direction I would have thought to take it, but you have a good direction with the eye here. I mean, he's really paid attention to having some like the warmth around the back side of the eye here. And it has the cooler tones. And then he doesn't keep the white of the eye too bright. He's got that nice white highlight on it. It keeps a very glossy sort of wet look. You could go, I'm kind of surprised they didn't go to add, like some color around part of it. And then you have the actual pupil in the middle. But maybe they just wanted a completely black eye. That's cool too. So, if I were to play with this and just enhance this a little bit more, what would I do? Well, for one, I think the overall body is fine for a design direction, but perhaps you need an actual reference for the body. Let's size the image up a little bit. 800 is just so few pixels to work with. Just push up to thousands of my brush. It's more useful. Double check I am on the right screen. Ever since I made that mistake on the other stream, I'm like a little conscious about it. I'll look at your questions just real fast and I'll jump back into this, looking at this character. Oh, you didn't notice a notification. Sorry about that, Michael, but you really haven't missed much. I was just setting stuff up and figuring out what the outline was for the next character challenge, so you haven't missed much. And we're just looking at a couple of the creatures and characters created for the last weeks. Yeah, it's true. It does have a Wolverine kind of Cyclops mix feeling, but more a mutant. Yeah. You're regretting your submission, John. I did see both of the images. I liked both of them, but only grabbed the one. Hey, Revis. I'm glad you caught me live. All right, cool. We'll hop back to it then. Okay, so this character, the first thing is, I'm not sure what this character is. Like, I know he's supposed to be a guard, but if I didn't know that just from the art challenge outline, I wouldn't actually know that. There's a couple of things that we could do to kind of get the idea of a guard. And one could be like a uniform. And this doesn't seem like it has a really uniform feel to it. It feels more like a street coat or jacket. So you could go it that way. You could also give him some sort of weapon. He has like the glowing fist here, but that could just as well be like fashion thing. So probably giving him a weapon or giving him more of a military or, you know, some sort of uniform style thing. And the hat doesn't really go along with it. I don't know that I'm feeling the hat. And again, it makes it look very civilian. And that's kind of my thought there. But what I would like to see on a character like this is you to go get a reference of a actual person. Like the legs look like they're just kind of, the whole guy's kind of just leaning around without having a lot of weight to him. His foot is like pointing upwards. So the angle is kind of weird on it. And you'd really need to redraw the character so you're looking at a proper angle, not like down at him. And then probably adjust the arms here so his arm isn't just coming straight up at you like that. Now that arm could be shorter because he is a mutant, so you can have an auto look for that. But say we just brought his pants down further, then you have more of the front view of his shoes, and you're not looking so far down. More like you're looking at him from more of a normal level. Yeah, and the hat, I'm not sure that that's really doing you a lot of favors. If you do, then I would almost think, you know, you need to copy this same feeling. Like, it's supposed to go together, right? These two. Same tones. And it has this sort of ridge along it. Same colors on this. It has that sort of gray trim, so we just put the gray trim on it. It's just tying some of the elements together. If you're wanting to go with the hat, I would just say at least tie it to the other thing. Then make sure you have, since it is mystery, I believe was the outlined genre. Oh, I need the other one. Having the face in shadow is actually not a bad way to indicate that, and then you could have your highlight, you know, being down there since it's getting shadow from the hat. A couple of ideas on that. All right, other ones. Oh, this was the other one that he did. This one's actually really good. It was those two together. Move it up. I'm not sure that gets all of that on that screen. This one has a really cool design. I like the geometric patterns in here. That is a fun shape. And then this back piece is kind of nice. So it just feels like those legs are maybe a little bit too short. Like that one's a little more balanced out. Anyway, high collar, that's cool. I liking these designs. Yeah, that's cool. We got these. Okay, this one, I appreciate, I sent him a little message about this, or I commented on this, that he's normally very lines-based in his artwork, so he's trying to move away from that a bit to doing more fully painted, and that can be a really hard thing to do, but he's really going for it here, and I think that's pretty cool. This one is, I would say probably, you could gain a lot more out of this if you just adjusted the levels a little bit. See, there's a lot more information in this scene than I'm really picking up because of that darkness. So let's just bump mainly those midtones up some. Completely different direction than I would have thought. This is some sort of guard that's being forced to have his eye scanned from some sort of retina thing so that somebody can get into wherever he is. Yeah, I would not have thought of that. That's pretty cool. And very limited palette from the purple. That can be neat. And that's what brings your eye to his eye. I don't know that I'm really getting a feeling that this guy's a mutant. I mean, I think there's a mutant there holding him. But I do appreciate the contouring of these scan lines over his face that had to take a while to think out and figure out where those would hit and how they would contour around. But it's a really neat effect, and I like that. And I like the sort of narrative scene that you've built with it. He's got pretty good expression there. This seems sort of odd, like the jawline is arching up. And unless you're going to really sell that as a mutant difference, I think you need to make sure you have the jawline going the other way. And then, you can bring some of your hair down there. Yeah. So that, this whole screen, in fact, you could probably push up to being even brighter so that it makes sense why it's giving off so much light. And there's a distinct screen glow to that. Push that maybe a little bit more. Good. I appreciate you submitting that. That's fine piece. Again, the directions that people take, so different from each other, but everybody can have the same starting point. This guy has bionic eyes. I have an idea. I'm getting the impression that this guy's like a shape shifter somehow. And that's why his hand is flat, as if he's like making a stop sign out of it. And that's kind of cool, but it's hard for me to make that connection, or I would not be able to make that connection unless you had text on there. So this is pretty good. I like the glass bionic eyes. I like the idea that he could have shape-shifting hands and stuff. I just feel like it's probably not realized enough that I could understand. And like, you put a sort of lattice pattern on here, but it's actually not part of the design. I mean, it's just an overlaid texture instead of it like being part of him, or I don't even see the folds of his shirt thing following those patterns. So that's probably one that he just didn't have enough time to go into it and work on it. But I would say go into it, try to tell me more about why this guy can shapeshift. I don't know, give me some patterns about, I don't know, maybe they're geometric pieces to his hands, or they're bionic shapes that can change, different forms. Give me a reason, visually how this thing works. Is he human? Is he bionic? What? So just, realize the idea a little more. Okay, this one, pretty good. He obviously put a lot of time into this. Has some fun, I get a very fun vibe from this, a sort of manga feeling, but done really well. We do see a lot of people that do line work on the channel here, but they don't use it to its strength, and I feel like he really is. The manga has a way to use line work really well, and that's a strength to it, and he's doing that here. So we've got the mutant feeling there from some sort of scales and, I don't know, demon wing thing coming off of him there. And the feeling of a guard, he has realized well narratively with him guarding this lady. He's trying to protect this lady, giving him some sort of cool sci-fi punkish gun there. And I guess she's also some sort of mutant, because she's got like a thing coming off of her too. Really, really well done. Fine piece. No. Okay. Go ahead and close these. I'll go through all these first, and then we'll ICC continue. Okay. This one, I did particularly like the idea of this one. A half bird, half man sort of thing. but he's gone very asymmetrical with it, having the one full wing on one side, but this little kind of mutant tiny wing on the other side. That's a cool idea. And the glowing red eyes. Now, if the whole piece was colored, the eyes probably wouldn't stand out that much. But choosing to go fully black and white with just the red eyes does make them stand out. So that's kind of a cool artistic move there. The main issue that draws me back from this one, as far as in contention, is that it's not futuristic. This could easily fit within a classic fantasy medieval. Well, let me pause again. I'll take a look at your notes here. Okay, okay, you guys have been talking quite a bit. I've got to move up further. I do appreciate you guys helping the other ones answer their questions when I'm doing other stuff. It is just not plausible for me to be able to answer everybody, so I do appreciate that. Thomas, no, I did get your piece like 5 minutes before I started streaming, so I do have it in here. Clint, Glacier asks, when designing a character, what is the thing you pay more attention to? I would say, man, I don't know that I can put it down to one thing. If you haven't picked up my ebook on drawing and designing characters, then I would suggest you picking that up. It is on Swatches Art. I'm not just trying to give you a pitch to, buy it, but I do cover it a lot. In the end, I would say figure out what your theme is. What is your feeling for this character? What is this character about? And then try to line everything up so it says that. And what is the vibe? What is the feeling? And then find one or two distinguishing things about that character and make them really stand out. And then pull the other ones back a little bit to support that and not contest for that. Also, I'd say that the silhouette, the overall shape of the character can tell you a lot. Tall and skinny with an arched back, or big and beefy with a, chest sticking out. The overall shapes can tell you a lot about the character, how they're standing, what their silhouette is. So that's a good place to start, is those big shapes. And then you can figure out how to tell the story of who they are through all the other stuff. Is there going to be a Halloween special, Pamela asked. I had not thought about it. When is Halloween? Halloween is the last day of October, October 31st. I hadn't considered it, but it's not a bad idea. If I can come up with a good idea, I might put it out there. I appreciate you submitting the idea. Carl, if somebody has not already answered you, yes, you can join this week. So I just did one. John there put in the outline for what the next character is, a true adventurer female. So that could be cool. Okay, Federico says, what is a headpiece? What does this mean? Headpiece I would count as being anything from a mask to a crown to anything large piece that they would wear on their head. Maybe it's a set of feathers that they have on the back, but not just like a feather or some sunglasses. We're talking about a large headdress, or maybe it's a helmet, something along those lines. Okay, looks like I caught up. So I think you can post a link with your submission for the challenge in the comments of the video. Yes, once the video is posted, YouTube will need a little time after the stream is finished to process the video, and then it will post it automatically. So whenever you finish your art submission, just go back to this one, which is live stream number 5, and submit a comment with a link to where it is on your gallery. And I will go out there, look it up, download it, and put it in part of the challenge. And I forgot to put number 5 on my information there, but I fixed it. Okay, let's continue looking at some of these other ones. Nope, wrong one. Oh, I do also want to comment that what I was talking about, like the pose can tell you something. This is a good use of a pose. This is a good example of how to do a good deal of character narrative with not a lot. So no background, right? He's not telling you anything with that. But this pose of crouching over, he's in the middle of walking up some stairs. He's turning his head around to look at you like he's being very aware of his surroundings. That is good visual storytelling. And if you can do that, if you have the time to work out a simple pose like that, I am particularly impressed with this too. He didn't need to come up with an entire scene to tell this character. He just came up with a couple of steps. That's great. So you could do this with a lot of characters. You could just have them standing next to a tree, and maybe they're leaning against a tree. Or it's just the end of a car and they're sitting on the end of the car but no background. Those are some really good decisions that tell you more without having to go into doing an entire scene. All right, we got, again, this one has 2 characters. So I guess I will judge them individually. So guard, futuristic. He's got some lattice work design into this. I see that. Distinguishing feature is the eyes. Yeah, obviously he's got 3 of them on both. Okay, this image is grayscale. Don't flatten. There we go. Got magic here, sword there. I like that decision, kind of splitting up what their strengths are. Some sort of like, I almost want to say that like they're nomadic or something with the way those shawls are and the kind of like lots of layers. I'm getting the tech futuristic feeling from the legs, as if maybe, I don't know if those are armor or whether they're artificial, like, android legs. I think this is a very clean version of doing a character design. I would like to see, maybe some shading, maybe a 3/4 pose or something would tell me a little bit more. But, okay, let me say it this way. This is sort of what I'm thinking here. This design has a very sort of Arabian feel with the cloth around the face, lots of layers of cloth, a hood, the little designs over the eyes. That does have a distinctly sort of Arabian feel. But then none of this really follows that. I think you could do a futuristic Arabian. I just don't know that it's really being pulled off here. So it's a little discontinuity between that. Or if we got some of that feeling and continued it elsewhere. Like we have this series of dots up here instead of eyebrows. And maybe we got more dot designs, somewhere else, on the fabric, or maybe down here. Or I almost think like if his legs were allowed to be more wrapped and more cloth-based, and then the arms you could see being completely futuristic. And those would be high technology. And maybe he has like one little tech piece, on his back. So he could be a scavenging sort of nomadic guard. And I'm just brainstorming. I'm just kind of fun, like where could you take this idea? But I do appreciate the clean design. Again, some people, they do sketch in lines, but they just don't make an effort to do a very clean job of it. And some people, use the lines as a way to kind of fudge their drawing. And, you know, it's just not very professional. If you can do a clean job of it, then do a clean job of it. I appreciate that. Okay, I think this is the first one that I received. Okay, definitely getting the mutant feel. Oh yeah, that was something else. I'm not really getting the mutant vibe from the other one. So that's sort of a on that. But I did like the overall designs. This one definitely getting the mutant vibe. He's got sort of like half insect, half humanoid. Distinguishing feature. I don't know that I really find the eye to be the most distinguishing feature. Maybe even the wings are. But if you were working in full color and he had more muted colors on his body and then you used a bright accent color for the eye, that would help balance it out and bring more attention to the eye as far as that aspect. Real simple background here. In this case, I'm not sure if it's needed there. I know the other one did a little design, but I think if you're going to go really fast, real minimal with your design, probably just keep it on the character. But this is about the only thing that really tells me that it might be more tech. I have the feeling that he's going for almost like a circuit board sort of design on the wings, but they're not realized enough. So I kind of chalked this one up to just not being allowed to have enough time. And I think if he spent a bit more time on it, it could be a lot stronger concept, because if that was really sold on the image, this, like essentially these are tech. These are pieces of tech made to look like, you know, something organic, something natural. Or if it's a blend of the two, it's like a natural wing that has a circuit board grafted into it, that would also work. But right now, it's just a little too unrefined. It's like the first pass, and it really needs to have a second pass to be a more proper concept. Okay, don't save. We got 4 more here. Let's get through these. You know what? I'll pause there first. We'll check the chat. And I need a sip. I don't know why my throat just keeps drying out very quickly right now. Hey, Alex, glad you found the channel. No, this particular challenge is just for the live stream. So, yeah, you know, John will help you out there. He can give you some more information. I see that now. Yeah, just feel free to sketch up a character, whatever you're going to be working on during the week. Just spend a little time, you know, give you a little outline of what to do and send it in. Okay, Michael, YouTube, he says, doesn't let him post links. I've tried and they're invisible to everyone, including video creators. All right, if you want to submit one to me and it's not letting you, send me a private message. Put me a link in a private message. I don't care. That's fine with me. Yeah, or yeah, now I would prefer if everybody sends me a link through the comments, but if for some stupid tech reason it's not letting you, then yes, Facebook is fine and YouTube private message is fine. Yes, this is a weekly stream, and we do it. I try to do it every Monday at the same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. As I said, there is a good chance I'm literally going to be driving this time next week. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/curelyart, and I will post out there when the stream will be, or I'll confirm it, or let you guys know if I'm not going to be able to. All right, so a couple more designs. Let's take a look at those. And then we'll probably get into doing some portfolio reviews. All right, very different direction on this one. Oh, I keep remembering that, cutting off the images here. Again, a narrative piece. The only way to solve the case was behind those bars. Behind that guard, cat's eyes. No use hiding in the shadows. I find that fun. I find the narrative thing kind of fun. But again, kind of the same as the last one, the image just isn't realized. I feel like he came up with this scene kind of flashed in his head. He thought, oh, that'd be kind of fun. And he did the scene. But I kind of have to say it's just not realized enough. Like, I need to see a bit more of the character. I'd rather be able to see a full character concept, full length character. And he gave him cat's eyes. Probably just not enough. Like, he's a mutant, but I'm thinking maybe you could show me more than that. This is kind of neat. I do like the idea of not the traditional perfect lattice work, but this sort of hexagonal lattice pattern. So I will give him props for that. I'll give him props for immediately coming up with this whole story idea. So if you want to do something like that, I'm fine with it. But also give me like a split with, your narrative scene like this, and then underneath it or whatever is your full character, design, your character design. So I can see how the whole character works, and then you can show me the scene that you had in mind. Yep. All right, this is Thomas's piece. Thomas is one of my top patrons. Really good guy, doing some work out there on Patreon. If I do have the more extensive art challenges going on my Patreon, patreon.com/swatches. We do a monthly art challenge out there. I do critiques on those. And he's one of my guys out there. I tell you what, Thomas, you know what? I am really impressed with you. Every time you really bring it, you make a lot of effort. You're really trying to get better, and you're putting in the time. And you're showing me a lot of variety in what you can do. So kudos to you, man. Immediately get a sort of Mr. Freeze feel, with that glass dome on the head. But the big double-barreled gun, that's sweet. I like this. Like, the dude's I want to say a bounty hunter, but he saw somebody trying to get into whatever territory he's guarding. He shoots them in the back. Like, this guy has no qualm about doing his job. But that's awesome. The muted palette, again, good on that. That is something that I have noticed that you have been doing particularly well on your pieces, is harmonizing your color palettes. So he's got a very muted palette here, guys. And then he has just that accent color in the eyes. And then that same color is being repeated in this, whatever this is, some sort of, it looks like an offshore station. It's so fuzzy and out of focus. All I need to know is it's out there and it's big and it's connected to him. And he's created that narrative connection through the color connection like that. So that's good. The lattice work, kind of an offhand design, just adding it over the gun like that. An idea on that, having looked at some other, gun designs, is you can use a lattice design and work it into, it'd be easier if I just rotate that so the gun is sideways. There we go. And if you guys have not used this, if you right click under the hand tool, you can go to the rotate view tool and you can turn your canvas, because some things are a lot easier to draw a certain direction, like up and down, than they are side to side or vice versa. And you can just rotate your canvas. And if you hold down the shift key, it'll lock it to every 15 degrees or so on the compass. So you can use a lattice work as part of the structural integrity of the gun. So I don't know how quickly I can sketch that idea, but I'm going to give it a shot here. So ideas that I'm going to kind of paint out what you have a little bit, so I have a cleaner base to work from. And this right here is one of the reasons I love doing the live stream. And I love not knowing what I'm going to be doing, what we're going to be talking about. It leads me in directions that I would not normally think to take a video or do a video on. So, you know, I appreciate you guys all submitting and taking the time to join me and, you know, just hang out and talk about some cool art stuff and just throw around some ideas. All right, so we have that sort of thing. And then what we could do is I'd probably front load the weight on that gun a little bit more, give it a little more menacing look there. Then maybe split that so that there's like an actual groove between those two pieces. Then the idea is that this thing gets so powerful or hot maybe that you have to reinforce this thing, and maybe it has like multiple, you know, sights or something on it. Yeah. Just getting a little more interesting shape out of it. Then let me flatten that down. There we go. Then you can come up with a lattice work that is, say it's angled. And it doesn't have to be completely even across the whole thing, right? Maybe just like that. And then you'd be able to see the ones on the other side. And so it's kind of like a exterior frame that helps the gun hold together. And maybe it vents. You know, you have that red, that orangey color here. Maybe it has, you know, sort of vents down the side of it. And then you do that. Okay, that's just a very rough, quick version of kind of what I'm thinking. But you see how you can sort of take that lattice a different direction and make it a functional part of the actual design. So, you know, that sort of thing. And then you could even do it following that same idea, honestly. You could use up here, like he's got a lattice pattern that goes over. And this, okay, let's talk about just this art technique. And this is a quick way to concept some stuff, is you grab a color, and then I can make some lines here. And I'm using the brush that is just like this. It's size sensitive due to pen pressure, but it's not opacity sensitive. And so maybe he has a sort of lattice design that is supporting this helmet. Maybe he has some here in the front too. Then you can lock that layer over here, if you can't see that, right here. And that means I cannot paint in anything that has not already been painted. And then I can come back with my other one and actually do whatever the, you know, the shading and the lighting is on that piece. And it makes it easier to come back and like put some little lights on it. And then maybe it's catching a little of that red. That could be good. Let that red shine out a little bit more. Again, kind of adding a more functional element to it. And then you can use that to connect the different pieces of the element. Because right now it's sort of a little, and Thomas, one of the reasons I'm going a little more on your piece here is I know you're working hard, man. So I want to, you know, talk about that or give you the chance to go over some more stuff for you. And I know that you're making an effort to learn and stuff. So and it's not because I'm being nitpicky. It's because I think you can absorb it and use it. So originally he just had this white fabric that was kind of going over stuff. I do appreciate that he used it multiple times. and I say that to you guys over and over, is, you know, try not to use things just once unless you really want to draw attention to them. He used the red light only once. That makes it unique and that makes it stand out. The more times that he uses it, the less original it is and the less impact it has, the less significance it has. So if you only use that wrapping once, it gives it more significance. Using it twice lowers the significance. Using it 3 times, like if you had also used it up here to maybe wrap this cylinder with or something, then it really makes it part of the overall scheme. You kind of need to use it 3 times. One of the things that is a little discontinuity is the pants. Like, I think the pants design themselves is okay. Like, kind of the baggy, they look functional for what his job probably is. But, you know, there's a lot of visual information in all of this, but there's hardly any visual information there. So you're showing me here what looks probably like some sort of zipper or connector or seam. So I would love to see maybe going down here and putting in just a couple of, maybe there's some sort of cargo pant style, and you can see a couple of pockets or something down there, or a lot of military stuff. As far as character designs, you might have just a knee piece, right? They would have a solid knee piece because they're going to be kneeling a lot. That might make sense. So he has a knee piece down there. Just one little thing to sort of break up the monotony of this basic clothing there. Yeah, so that's some ideas for you, Thomas. Like that piece. And this, I will also note this out. This is a really good way of handling the face. It's like, I get the idea it's really misty on the inside, like it doesn't have real good circulation, and the breath is just sort of collecting on this thing, or it's so wet outside it's collecting on the outside of it. But anyway, it keeps it really foggy, and you have those drip lines through it, which is really cool. Appreciate that. Again, same outline, completely different characters. Let me pause here, take a look at your guys' comments. Yeah, John, you can do that. The rotate one, actually the rotate canvas tool has not been around as that long compared to how long Photoshop's been around. I think they only implemented it in the last Photoshop CC. I know I didn't have it for the longest time. You're late again. How long has the stream been going on? It's been going on exactly 1 hour. Yeah, 54 minutes at the time that you asked. Pamela's got you covered there. Awesome. Okay, Jay Yashar asks, if I was forced to go traditional, what medium would be my choice? I would be pretty happy to go with soft pastels, oil paints, and graphite. Those would be my top 3. Yeah. Oils is probably the most versatile. It is the most versatile. You can get the most realism out of it. It's the classic do everything medium, but I can't say that it's actually my favorite. I'm really torn between that and soft pastel. One of the things that I love about soft pastels is the fact that it's like between doing graphite drawing and doing a painting. So you get all of the color and the complexity and the beauty of doing a painting, but you handle it in individual tones. Like you handle it in strokes and not through a brush. You're physically holding the thing that's making the line. And the other thing I love about it is that there is no proper drying time. Like in paints, in a big oil painting, you have to really plan out how much you're going to paint, how you're going to leave it, keeping your paints wet, and cleaning your palette and stuff. And there is cleanup with soft pastels. And by soft pastels, I mean Rembrandt pastels. They're not soft. They're not like sponge soft. They're just soft compared to hard pastels. And there is cleanup. I mean, it gets all over your hands and stuff. But there's no drying time to it. There's not that much setup time compared to other paints. And then I do go back to just graphite. And graphite, I would also include vine charcoal and charcoal. And there's other things you can do like graphite powder and charcoal powder and using like acetone to make like, speckly designs into it. So I would say all of that sort of dry black and white media would kind of go into the graphite side. I hear a lot of people really love Art Rage. Honestly, I've not used it in a very long time. I don't know what it can do now, but yeah, Pamela's probably right. It's probably awesome. Could I do a glowing eyes tutorial? SVG just asked this. You know what? I would consider putting that in with my special effects episode. It was a week or two ago that somebody asked about whether I could do an episode on doing like glowing magic and fire and, like glowing eyes. I think that's something that I could devote a whole episode to. So I will put that on the list after the stream, and we could go into doing that. All right, I will switch back over, and we will look at the last of these. Okay, so we got this guy. He reads less mutant than he does robot/android. We do have like the lobster claw there. That's about the only thing that really reads mutant to me. That's not really the one I want. Okay, there we go. He's got a little logo. Let me take a look at this guy's face. Okay, he's got like I don't know what this is. It's kind of funny though. It's like a angry, smiling alien skull thing. It's pretty cool. All the tentacle eyes. Okay, so where could you go from here? Again, this sort of feels like a first pass, and I realize it probably is, and most people's are because it's a fairly short art challenge, so you didn't have that long to work on it. What I like is that it immediately reads futuristic. I do get a little of that tech in it. And I think he could pass for a guard. He could be considered probably a lot of different things, but I could believe that he's probably guarding something, or personal guard or something like that. This is a pretty cool idea. It's like an energy shield. That's kind of cool. It's not used anywhere else. It'd be kind of neat, like if these things could also project energy shields. So he has like these moving shields around him as he's fighting. I think a little work on the overall pose is probably good. Like I get the idea that you just like quickly sketch some legs out like that. But if you were to go back, find a good pose that's a little more natural and work that in. This head shape is kind of odd. With all the other shapes. And he has like the hat thing on. I would say it's probably better just to give him more like a helmet. Like use some of these big shapes up here and just make it more like a helmet. Unless you're trying to go for the mystery aspect by using that, in which case, let's play it up. Again, like I said, figure out what your character is about and then really try to push it. So if you're wanting to play up, you know, okay, this is he's more mysterious, okay? So he's more mysterious. Let's conceal him more. Let's give him these huge collars, right? That is not the brush I need. Yeah. And then another big collar over here. Okay, so that makes that a little better. And then shading. It's, you know, for the mystery sort of feeling, it's okay not to say everything. I think probably a different shape with this, or at least give me like a division line in that somewhere. Slightly change the angle on part of it, just not completely uniform all the way around. The cloak is probably a good call for that. But let's beef him up a little bit. And just a really fast way to do that. I'm going to grab all of this. Just move his shoulders out a bit. Right? As always, I'm always just talking about a direction. I'm not taking enough time to do a full paint over on any of these. Just give you guys some rough ideas. By widening his shoulders, bringing him up a little bit, makes him a little more menacing. I feel like he'd be better suited to be a guard if he was a little more imposing. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And this is exactly the sort of process that I would probably go through. That is, you sketch out the basic idea of the character first. You're throwing your ideas down. This is the kind of the ugly board of ideas. Because all it is basically a collection of ideas stuck together. And you're going, these are the pieces of the puzzle that I have to work with. Now what can we do with them? So you're just refining them. You're finding better ways to put them together. You're figuring out what piece needs to be bigger, what piece needs to be smaller, and what piece, you know, needs to be left out or made bigger, you know, that sort of thing. You're just giving it a pass, like this cloak. Like the end of it wasn't really stated. The shape wasn't really, you know, defined. So let's do more with that. Let's play up the mystery thing by, it's okay to conceal him a bit more, right? I'm going to let that cloak really do a little more storytelling here. Make it a bit longer. Bring it down here. Let it go off there. Back side of it. I'm curving it. I'm thinking, when you're doing a cloak like this, you got to think about the overall shape of it, like the form. That basically this thing on the bottom is a cone. So the back side of it needs to curve that way, and the front of it needs to go this way. And then you kind of use your artist X-ray eyes to imagine where the back of it goes around. And he's right. This probably would go back over here, and then maybe the end of it could even be back there, right? Somewhere back there. It depends how much you want this leg to be stepping forwards. And maybe he has like a... I think stopping it right below the knee is kind of odd. So if it was me, I'd probably add one piece up there. that was like part of the armor that just would protect the knee, and then it comes down and joins in with that piece. And then you have more of that going on. Legs look a little thin there, so we'll fix that. And make his chest seem a little bigger. So you're telling me the shape of the chest by having this straight line here. It gives me an idea that I look at this and I feel like there's probably a lot of dimension to the chest. There's a lot of these pieces. But because this is laying flat against them, it makes it feel flatter in my head. So if this is following the contour, then I want to see that this is having to push up over this shape right here. So let's let that push up on the cloak. Like that. And then it's going to fold down the backside, right? You might see a little bit right there, something like that. I'd probably do that. You could probably see the inside of it a bit. And then if we do that, then we can have it come down. And then it would actually disappear behind that leg. Somewhere back there. Yep. And then just a little design, you know, just throw some basic ideas of the folds going on here. I'm just going to bunch up, of course, a little bit over that knee so we can indicate that. Again, we're not going into a lot of detail. We're just trying to refine the concept, hone it a little bit more so it's closer to what the brief is asking for. More interesting shapes. These are all very even, so I'd probably say like this top piece, just break it up a little bit, like make it maybe a little bit wider than the others. So you're changing the angle once you get to that one. Yeah. Now these, I like the idea of some sort of tentacles coming off. Like these are things that he could use, but I don't really get their function at this point. I don't know if they're for, you know, can they shoot lasers or do they? I don't know what they do. It just seems like they, right now, their function is not stated very well. And so I would need that to be expounded. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I'd go with that. So I like the idea of those. You might want to make them beefier, like thicken them up a little bit. They seem a little weak. And then you might play around with the end of it. So I'd tell it, you know, whether they're weapons or whether they're eyes or what. Yeah, just a little more information. And we got a sort of, I would say, what is it called? Half man, half a satyr. It's kind of a satyr character. Okay, this is sort of a mix for me. The eyes, distinguishing eyes. Well, he's gone with lots of eyes. And a mutant, okay, half man, half something else. That works. Not getting a futuristic vibe. Like, if it was not for the mic thing and, like, the glasses, I would say this is fantasy medieval. So there's sort of a breakdown there. But these keys, like, originally, I was thinking that's really weird, but I get the idea that, you know, he's maybe the guard of these magical keys, or these. I don't know why they're floating around his waist. That seems sort of odd. If you had keys, I would think maybe they're like they encircle around, you know, his chest or something, or maybe around his head or above his head or around his arms or something. Around his waist seems like an odd place to have the keys. Seems like you'd bump into them like when you're walking. So where could you take this? I think one of the first things that you might want to do is break away from the human head. You could have a human upper body and then satyr legs, and then give me a half human, half satyr face. But instead of the normal satyr eyes, give me like one big, like a Cyclops satyr is sort of what I'm thinking. And like on these, all right, this style is a little hard for me to just mesh into because it's so clean. I can't just paint into it real easy. Let me see if I can find a brush in about 5. Okay, I can kind of get into it then. Okay, this eye draws a lot of attention because it's front and center and big. And I don't know that that's really where you want the attention. That's one of the problems with this character is that I don't know where the focal point is. Am I looking at this eye? Am I looking at this eye? Not sure. I would say that you probably want to draw the attention to the face, in which case you need the biggest eye up there, or this thing needs to be way more interesting. Still, you probably want to take that one out just because you completely center a big one and it's going to draw a lot of attention. So instead, I would say putting like a big one over here and really letting it round out, and you can tell the form of it, you know, and you could let the size kind of diminish off as it goes down away from it. And let's play up this mutant so that there is a little more consistency. Like, give me some hair coming off of this, so it's not just a localized thing. It's like the idea that this mutant process has just not worked completely on this guy. So he's got eyeballs sprouting off of him. This hair coming up right there is good, and I would run with that a bit further. Run it up here so there's not a perfect transition right at the level of that belt. So you want to run that hair up here, and then maybe you have some along the neck or something. And like I said, more of a satyr head. Go look at a satyr's head. These horns don't really match satyr, or maybe you're going for like an ox or something, in which case you need to look at an ox head. The tech thing is a little harder. Like this staff needs to be tech, or you need to add more tech here. I don't know about having the open crotch. Like, I know that it probably, I would say having lots of long hair through there would be a better call. Just kind of obscure it with long hair if you're going to have it visible, and that would be a little more, it wouldn't be as distracting because you naturally want to look there. And this, if you want to tell technology, that's probably a good place to do it. Give me some big tech forms and little greebles on it, and give me some clean tech lines, and really let me know through that thing that this is tech, and maybe some little compartments on it, like he's got stuff with this. Play up this thing so that it has more tech elements on it. There could be like little functions and buttons on it. Maybe there's wires on this thing. Whatever it is, sell me on that idea. Okay. Oh. I might do that. Let's see. All right, and that is everybody. Well, I'm going to switch back over here and look at this. Nope, wrong one. Over here. The hat gives it a Doctor Who vibe. Yeah, a little bit. I don't know why. That's true. Oh, you're probably right, Pamela. The idea is that he has no eyes on his face, so his eyes are on the cameras. Yeah. Stephanie, glad you got one of the live streams. Good to have you on. Inktober. I would love to, honestly, but right now, I will get a couple of pieces done, but my days are so packed right now that that is not my high priority. It's not that I'm not working on stuff. if I'm going to put some time in, it's going to be on bigger projects. Ink has to do with, yes, traditional inking, pen and ink or brush inks, or James says it doesn't. I've never seen it being digital ink, but I think the idea is just making people do a new piece every day. So, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the winner. Who's going to win? The one that I really liked the most, and who will win this challenge, I will flip over here, is this one. Yeah, this piece I just thought did really well. He's got that cool sort of mutant feel to it. It just sings with a futuristic feeling. I get the idea that this could be a mystery. This is science fiction. This is the future. This guy is some sort of mutant. This guy is guarding this lady. The one major drawback from this is that it doesn't incorporate a good lattice design. He's got some pieces here. He's got some repeating designs. He's got sort of a lattice design in the background. I wish he was able to incorporate that a little more, but I have to hand it to him that on everything else, it's such a clean execution. It's just a cool image. And honestly, the image itself was just enough to make me wonder what the story is. And if it can do that, it sells me on the idea. I forget, he has it listed by Shadow End 82. Forgive me, I don't remember whose name that was. But congrats, send me a link or send me a private message. Let me know. Yeah, let's see. Can't remember who sent me that piece. If you're in here, you know, say, hey, that was mine, because I can't keep up with whose YouTube handle is with their art handle with their personal name. But send me a personal message, and I will talk to you, and we will get you a free copy of any item in Swatches art store. That could be the art, drawing, designing characters, that ebook. You could get the Sweet 16 lighting. You could get one of the making magic videos, whatever it is. Let me know, and we will sit up and make you, get you one of those. John asks, I'm trying to get into art for a living. I'm in wheelchair bound, so normal jobs aren't an option. I've gotten commissions. I'm working hard. When am I ready? When I'm ready, how do I get my name out there? You get your name out there by just doing awesome work and posting it all over the place. There's not a single way to get your name out there. So, yeah, just keep putting stuff out there. I would say that if you're doing awesome work, your name gets around. And if you're making even modest effort to just have a couple of sites online that you post stuff, if you're joining in some, even stuff like this, just being out here and talking to us and getting your profile and your work seen around a little bit, that's a great way to do it. So, I think your name grows as your art grows, and it's kind of a proportional thing. It's not like one day I decided, oh, I'm going to be known now. It just doesn't work that way. Mystery is in the eye of the beholder. Indeed, indeed. I do feel like that could be like, that image I felt like would fit very well on the cover of a futuristic, manga mystery graphic novel. And I was just like, I thought that would fit very well. Okay, so we are at 7:26. I think we will probably look at one random portfolio review. Then it'll be about time to start winding down. Okay, I've got to move some of this stuff out of the way and find my list of galleries. Thank you to everybody that has been dropping their galleries for consideration. Probably had about 10 or 12 of them submitted from the last live stream, which was awesome. I love getting some new ones on the list. Of course, I've said it before, they're all chosen randomly, so it doesn't matter if you've joined recently or a long time ago. Yeah, just good odds of getting in. We have 148, so let me put that into the random and see what gallery we get. This one right here. Will it be my portfolio? Probably not. Odds is kind of against that. There's like 150 galleries, so we'll see. Maybe it is. I don't know which one you submitted. For some reason, it is going really slow here. Okay. It is LyrenaCleanfolio.com. All right, let's switch over and we will look at this together. This is new to me, right? I've not seen this gallery. I do not know this person's work. I've not prepped this in any way. I've got to say, this is a nice first image. How very clean and pretty and well executed too. It is well executed. Okay, artist bio. Let's just kind of figure out a little bit who we're talking about. I'm a freelance artist currently available for work. I specialize in RPG, fantasy, and sci-fi concept art and illustration. I have a master's degree in molecular ecology and enjoy letting science inspire my work. Awesome. This is at LyrenaCleanfolio.com if you want to go take a look for yourself. Illustration, environments, and characters. All right. Probably move this up. I don't think you guys can see that whole thing, so I'll pull that up a bit. Got a collection of images here. Oh, that's nice. Can I zoom in on this very much? A little bit? Okay, cool. I like the way that this girl is handled. It's very fun, clean, very illustrative, not stressing a lot on trying to be too realistic. It's clearly an illustration. All right, going more realistic here. All right, character design, I take it. Just Jasna, Stormlight Archive series. I guess that's part of a series then. Caged. Oh, it's like something inside of her head. Ooh. It has like a little... I don't know what it is. That's kind of a neat idea, though. It's like, I don't know, is it her? Is it a creature inside of her transparent skull? How strange. I would be more interested in this piece. You know what? I'm going to pull this off as a possible paint over to talk about some ideas. But it doesn't want me to be able to pull that image since this is an HTML viewer. So I will do a screenshot and we'll work from that. Okay. All right, there's another artist that does very similar work to this. I cannot remember the name offhand, but I'm pretty sure they've been inspired by that. But I will say that that's a nice clean piece. This I think would probably work better if it was like that pure black. I don't know that you really need a rounded form on that. You round the form real well and have realized forms on the body. Then you just use straight tones on the black pieces. It'll probably work a bit better. Yeah, okay. Got a galaxy thing. I walk alone. All right. Kind of get an overall feel of what they're working with. Warlock and Dragon Wrath. Okay. All right, let's take a look at some of the other environments and character concepts. That's kind of cool. Big spider up here. Immediately lets you know this is not going to be a friendly place. Oh, it's sort of interesting that you have a spider up here, then you have wings down here. Generally, wings is positive. It's good. It's a nurturing thing. And then you have like a death thing here. I don't know those go together real well. I'd almost like to see the spider design again down here so they can mimic. Or is this like a living spider that's hunting her? I think it's part of the design though. Frankly, from a viewer point, that's one of those questions that I'd want to find. That's not a good question. Like if it's a real spider that's hunting her, then don't put it symmetrical. Like let it be crawling over the edge. But if it's part of the design, then maybe actually working it into this thing so it's not perfectly centered. So it's like it's blending into the edges where it touches, and I can know it's part of the architecture. This is sort of odd feel. It mimics the wings here, but I'm not sure what this middle thing is. Is that kind of like this, the two dots? I do like this back hazy mist thing back here with the webs on it. That's a good feeling. Almost like spider legs coming down is the sort of feeling. If you wanted to run with that, I think that would actually be a really cool idea. Is that if you could play up the spider leg aesthetic so that these are almost like twisting spider legs that become spikes, and the fortress walls actually have a bend in them. Yeah, let's screenshot that too. We might do a quick thing on that. Okay. Other than that's very beautiful. What a great alien terrain, big natural shapes. This is a great example of gradients. I talked about gradients in a previous video, and in using them. Actually, I talk about them in the newest video I'm coming out with, the Making Liliana, coming out tomorrow. And look at this gradient, light to dark, and then dark to light, and then putting the dark against the light, so that you're constantly having a light to dark pattern against other light and dark patterns, so that you get this depth to it, and you get this overlapping. It's wonderful. It works so well. Oh, I like this. Deeper into the forest. This is interesting. Unusual vantage point. You're looking down. Essentially, we're looking down from the vantage point of this bird crow thing here. We've got these stone columns that have carved stuff in them. Some sort of forest. I sort of like this. I think that maybe a better option would be to use less value darkness and a bit more color. Let's pull this off. I have some things I can note about that in a bit. All right. I think I'm probably digging the environments more than I am the character images. This sort of design, like it's almost an underwater algae coral thing going on, as if this had been under the sea. I'm really getting like this was the bottom of the ocean and then it drained out. And that is a very fun idea. Yeah. Okay, Sosnane. Inside the Bog Witch's hut. That is almost one that you would need to know what the narrative of this piece is to do too much more with it. Like, I don't know the vibe. Is this lady supposed to be evil, or is this supposed to be a welcoming place? Because the narrative of that would really change how you handle the lighting, how you handle the even the vantage point, the viewpoint of the image. I think this is a very straightforward Okay, let me say it like this. Without knowing what the narrative of this scene is, I'm automatically thinking this is a fairly boring way to look at the scene. Like, it's almost completely flat on. There's not a lot of perspective to this scene. There's not hardly any overlapping going on. Overlapping gives you a feeling of depth. It has very little depth because the whole back wall is pretty much the same distance from us. And we're looking at two characters just looking at each other like this. And, you know, if you were standing here looking over her shoulder, so that the character is like big here, and you see just the side of her face and her shoulders and her head, and this lady is standing in front of her down there, then we have more perspective as we're looking down the room, then that would give us like we're really in the scene with her, and we're in this scene with her. Whereas this, we feel very removed from this scene. And I'm not sure that's best. Like, even if we put a big post right here, like one of these posts right here, it would at least look like we're kind of watching this scene from the corner of the room. Like, we're a bit hidden away. Or, you know, put like a post here and then a barrel. A couple of barrels stacked up right here. So we really are watching the scene from the corner. So it just adds a bit more depth, a couple of like foreground, midground, background layers. Okay, yeah. Okay. Of course, I go through all of that, and then the next thing is an outline of the entire scene. Sure. That's cool, though. That's how you do some good concept art. That's interesting. It's like a turtle tree. Very creative ideas on the landscapes. That is cool. Good stuff going on here. Look at this. It's like that, and these huge leaves break off, and they fly around, and basically they're like giant umbrella leaves. And then the stem of it plants into a new tree. And she's designed the shapes of the leaves. And so they're different shapes, and they fit together geometrically. Some of the designs of how this is really cool. I like this. I can't. I think one of the only little things that I would add, just to the idea, is maybe giving a different color. Like, it changes color slightly more where that big stem is, or it changes color as it gets to the edge of the leaf, and. Yeah, so you've got like a bumpy feel on these. I think maybe a little more texture on those. So they feel a little more bumpy. Right now they almost look artificial because they're so smooth. So a couple of more ridges. Like you would have ridges sort of like what you have here. I can't zoom up on that anymore. You have these little lines where basically the veins are going. But let those ridges go out to all the little corners of it and let them buckle around those a bit more. Fantastic idea. Love that. Another scene. Oh, how vibrant. Nice. Good use of color. This is a good direction to go when you're not wanting to be realistic. Look at how she's able to get a lot of distance. She's keeping a lot of color, but she is dropping the values. She's dropping down the contrast as it's going away. That will simulate distance, but she's allowing the colors to stay vibrant. Now, normally I would say with distance, you're losing vibrancy, but this is one of those illustrative things. This is one of the ways that illustration approach can differ from a realism approach. I think the leaf pattern here could use a little more work. It's coming out as being almost more. They're not really coming out as leaves. They're so rounded. I would think if you used like a more squarish brush or a more geometric shape, and then it was kind of splotchy with these little geometric shapes. Like even back here, this sort of, it's almost a little more geometric with some of these angles. And I would continue that with the highlight ones. Yeah. All right, that's all for that. Briefly look at these, and we'll pull up some of those other. We'll look at these. I'll look at the comments, and then we'll pull up a couple of these in Photoshop. Okay, Modern Witch. That would work for Modern Witch, indeed. Character seems... This is one of those where it's drawn as if it's supposed to be very realistic, but it's also really stylized, so I'm not sure. She's really thin. I think that would probably work a bit better if you just wind her out a little bit, give her, make her neck a little bit thicker. You could probably grab her body and just stretch it so it's a little wider, and it would feel a little better. Regular and advanced. Monster Hunter, character and creature concept. Okay, so she's a monster hunter. I guess this is what she's going to go kill. And she can transform into this. I don't know if she can transform into this to that. Maybe she can. Maybe she's a monster hunter that can turn into a monster. I think the character, the creature, is probably more successful than this character. This is really well handled. This is cool. Oh yeah, a lizard, but it looks very deadly. The spikes, very consistent, a lot of form and texture, good stuff happening there. This feels a little odd with the rings going up, because our eye level is actually up here near her eye level, which means that we're looking down on her legs, and if we're looking down on her legs, the rings are probably going to be going down, unless they're purposely made to be like arching up and at a not even angle on her leg. Yeah. Queen of Stormhaven. Okay, the segmented armor thing can work, but it's one of those things that there's a couple of places you probably want to ease off. I'd probably do a bigger piece on the flat of the shin. Right now, this is getting so busy that you need a solid piece. Like up here, you have busy, 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 but this nice big chest piece sort of breaks it up. It gives a calmer spot. The shoulder pieces are a little busy, but overall, they're fairly calm compared to the rest of it. This can be busy, busy. The thigh can be busy, but then let the shin piece be more like a solid, clean piece, and then get back down here. If I would suggest something, it's probably playing up this headdress more. If it's also going to work as a helmet and a headdress, double the length of those little pieces coming off the sides there, and probably almost doubling the size of that blade. I mean, obviously this is fantastical, right? This armor is not functional. You wouldn't actually be able to fight in this, I doubt. So I'm assuming she has like super strength or something. So make the head on that bigger, and also thicken her arms up. Not because she's beefy, but if you have your arm, and then she'll probably have some sort of fabric or padded shirt underneath it. It's not going to be metal on bare skin. And then you would have the metal, and it's segmented metal, which means it's going to be a piece of metal on top of a piece, laying on top of a piece of metal. So you're talking about at least 3 layers of stuff on top of our arm, and our arm is still skinny. So we got to beef that up just to incorporate how many layers of things are on top of her. The headdress, let's bring those out so they fan out bigger. And that way these pieces on the sides with her shoulders will be playing off of these shapes up here on the helmet as well. Oh, cool. The Crimson Dagger. A couple of variations of the same character. I like when people do this sort of thing, which is basically it's your straightforward full-length character concept, but they're in some some motion. She's taking a step. It gives just a bit of life to it. Black and white with some red on it, the green with some red on it. This is a neat idea, just adding some slashes in it, mimicking the shapes of one shoulder over here, doing the asymmetry thing. Okay. All right, I think we've probably looked at enough of these. Wow, that is way out there. All right, don't have time to go through all that. Okay, so let's pull this back up. I'll take a look at a couple of your questions first, and then we will pull some of those images in Photoshop. Who won the giveaway? The person who won the giveaway did the sort of manga image. I would have to go back through the links. I don't remember the name of the person who won. 2:27 a.m. Pamela. Oh my gosh, you're in Rome. That's pretty cool. Though I've never been there. But wow, thanks for staying up. Yes, I agree with you. I'm not sure how to say it. Adio. The one with the girl and the deer. Yeah, that's a beautiful little piece. Yeah. Okay, spider bathroom. Yeah, the aliens landscapes are really cool. Okay, so no major questions there, as we will hop back over and take a look at some ideas of this. Man, I'm glad we got this portfolio. There is some really cool pieces and some really cool stuff to talk about through these pieces. So let's open with, oh, that is so not what I need, thank you. Photoshop. Okay, I did switch over. Yes, no. Okay, let's get that out of the way. I'll look at this one first. New layer. All right. Lighting wise, for this scene, I think it's so much better if this has a darker background. All right. What is the selling point of this scene? What is this whole image about? A transparent skull with a thing inside, right? So we want that to show up. We want that to be what is doing our image. That needs to be the lightest thing. You know what? There is probably a much faster way to do this. I want to just select this color, this, that. There we go. Nope, inverse. Select inverse. There we go. It's like I don't know how to use Photoshop. Okay, now if we want to have some lighting, then we can have some. I probably would not go. All right, right now we have a completely, this is a complementary color scheme, right? Basically yellow, orange, and green are pretty close to opposites. This is like a bluish green. I don't think that you necessarily need, I don't think that's the best color scheme for this. So let's step it one step closer by making it maybe to the violet side. And then you can desaturate some of this, just gray it out a bit more. And what I want to do is also just save that shape so that I can select back and forth with that. There we go. And then I can put on a mask, and I can put on another mask, and then I'll make another layer that I can paint the character, and I'll have that same mask. Yes. I don't know that you guys get that on the stream. I'll move that over here. So I just made masks of it so that I can paint all the background and not worry about having to paint over the character. Yeah. Preserve. Yes. If we do a green, we go like trying to find a color that's not a direct opposite. Okay, so this one will be for the face, and this one will be for the background. Now, I also want to put the face in shadow. This is the idea. The selling point of the image is the glowing, transparent skull with a thing inside. So, I want that to be the brightest thing. So this one will be set to multiply. I'll make a new one. I actually need the same mask on that one. And then I'm going to get that... is going to be my light source. So I'm going to put the face in shadow. I want to set in darken. Set the opacity down. Okay. Now, I can add some light behind here for the face to show up a little bit, but I don't want to contest against the head. So maybe a bit more like that. And then, like I say, I talk about this in my newest video that I'm coming out with, the making Liliana, is working in gradients. That's all kinds of gradients. That could be a color gradient, a value gradient. Just add some more gradients so there's transitions in your image from one thing to another. Okay. Yeah. This is sort of odd here, this shape. I gotta make a new one up here. It's like a collar, but it perfectly mimics her head. So I'm not sure what that's doing. Like, is this like literally right next to her? Because I think we probably need one little piece up here, folding off a little bit. And then I'm gonna just play with that shape a little bit and say that there's little bits that turn off the top. And they can catch some light. What I want to do is play up that light. The light from her skull is the primary light in this scene. That way you really cannot miss how important that is. And I want to get that same orange tone, and I want to bring that around outside and have a blending edge. This is one of those times that this is a rounded form, and right now it has a very harsh edge to it from that selection mask. And by putting this in, it's going to help blend from the brightness of the skull to that background. Somebody's work, when I'm drawing this, okay, if she's watching this, or if you're drawing somebody like this, what you want to do is look up the work of, you know what, I'll pull it up here. Pull up the work of, I think it's Dan Dos Santos. If he was not already inspired by this guy's work, I would be a little surprised. Dan Dos Santos, I've met him before a couple of times at Spectrum, but he does some fantastic pieces of like ladies in profile, you know, this sort of thing that is going to take a while to load because I'm on stream. So you can see like a little connection. And one of the things that he does is this beautiful middle edge, softening out between two drastic tones. Now, there is a particular image of his. Now, he's a traditional artist. He works in oils. Where is it? I figured Google would come up with it. I can't remember what it's called. But it's the profile view of this half-dragon lady. I'll put that in the search. If I can't find it here in just a second, I'll just say whatever. And we'll do it. Dragon. Will that give me what I need? Yeah, here we go. This is sort of the image that it reminded me of. Right there. See how beautiful that is? You have sort of see-through membrane. Let's pull this over here. We can use this as a inspiration. Here we go. We could turn them the same way, though. You know what? It doesn't matter. I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so he's up here. There. But look at these beautiful tones. Like that tone around there by the eyes. Brought it down there on the nose, too. And it has it on the mouth, so that consistent color tone. And then warming up the ends of the fingers with the same color. And then that color is basically started here, but then it's allowed to go, you know, over here too. The subtle, this one, those little gradients, the gradients of the very gray tones into the slightly violet bluer tones, and then to the pinkish tones down here. It's so subtle though, so well handled. The lines and the character design of this ear being worked into part of the actual wing, so cool. And there's these beautiful tones right there along that edge that are nice and pure. It's hard to pick up, but it's there. So like that. Let's work with this just a little bit longer. I don't want to spend a long time on it. But let's play these up more. Like, I feel like this is starting a good idea, but it's just not there. Like, make these scale things even more. Really sell me on these scales. And then they can start warming up down there. It's still going to be a little thicker, right? A little warmer. Just a little bit of that light peeking through there. All right, I need to speed this up a little bit. Sorry, I wasn't talking. I was just kind of thinking where I'm going to go with this. The ear, I think, could be more useful. See, like how useful he had made the ear in his design? I would say blowing that up more, like she could have this big, beautiful... I mean, it can be bigger without being distracting if you make it really nice. I'm not sure what that shape is. I think we could just take that out, and then she could have like some smaller scales that sort of form around the ear. And this would actually be getting darker because it's being lit, or it could become kind of see-through, be heating it up. It's going to be catching a little light along the edge. And let's play with the eye a little bit. So I'm gonna have this layer is darken, that one's normal. Let's put this one to overlay, and then I'm gonna try to, it's just like learn off of what Dan's doing here. So getting this orange tone, I'm gonna grab that orange, and I'm on a overlay layer, so I'm gonna grab a dark orange, and then I'm gonna paint that tone over the eye. So I'm gonna key the lips and the eyes like Dan has. So those fit together a little more. A little bit there too. But we'll probably adjust it so it's slightly to the red side. You can't really go the other way. Still in the same family, but it works a little better on the face. It doesn't have to be abrupt. It doesn't have to just really be harsh. It just has to be there a little bit. And if she has that big of upper eyelashes, she's probably going to have bottom ones. And I think that would look a little better. Let me back up. That was a little thick. And just sort of relighting it as if there's some fill light from this other side. And I'm just using gray. I don't want to compete with the color. And gray actually looks very cool compared to how warm that light is. And I'm just sort of reshaping that so that it has the roundness of the cheek where I had lost that. So I just want to bring that in and step up a little bit of that light from that side. It's going to be hitting part of that. My thing about relighting the image, we'll be able to pull in some more drama into the piece. Brings it a bit more mood. The lips are very strong and dark. Not sure I'm a big fan of that. Maybe it would be better just to go black with it so that we don't have that extra color that we're needing in the shadow. I think perhaps that works better. I don't want to completely lose the form of that though, so we can let the light hit it a little bit. Okay, now let's talk about some of this up here. Oh, main line. All right, this, we need some more. Like over here, this is a really good decision on his to have that piece coming around right there. Like this is very dull. We need something here. What I'm thinking is we need like a pattern of scales, like some of the big scales are starting from here and they're coming up that way. And so that gives it a little more texture, right? And we have varying sizes of these scales. It sort of comes down towards the chin maybe. I don't want to copy his shapes, I'm not, okay. And then this ear shape can sort of fold into that. Because one of the problems is we had a very clear line right there. And so I'm trying to find something that blends these two a little more, like bringing some of these scales up a bit further. One idea is to let some of the scales continue more back here, right? And so they kind of crest up the back a bit further, so it has a more uneven connection. And then maybe down here, that gold can go further down the neck, right? It can be down in that area. And then these are catching that orange light. I still like that idea. This can be catching some of it. Turn that off for a second. We'll see about tinting this background of a different color to be more useful. The original green is not bad, but we have to have it pushed over a little bit. Okay, so that I think would put more drama on it, and I would play up the that cool light some. Here, I'm gonna raise the highlights. Kick that up just a little bit. That's why you need to pull out and take a look at stuff. Yeah, that's fun. What a good image. And then probably in the background, just giving me a little indication of something going on. Like if this is going to be a fog, then show me like that's the edge of the fog, and then there's several layers of it. It's not just one fuzzy mass, but there's some dimensionality to it. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Oh, keep hitting the wrong one. I'm trying to move that screen out of the way. Okay, there we go. All right, we're going to have to wrap up pretty soon. Let me come down here and see what we got. I have two monitors, but they don't fit in my desk, so I'm just using one. Barely have desk for two. Without sounding like a creep, where do I live? I live in Central Tennessee, United States. Yeah, I'm out in the country, Central Tennessee. Okay, you know what? I really like these other pieces. I think there are some good things to go over on them. So maybe we'll take a look at those next week. But it's already past 8 o'clock and I need to be tying up the stream. I think there's some good stuff that we went over. I appreciate you joining me tonight. Now, again, just to recap, if you happen to have joined later, then we do start normally at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. That is -8 hours GMT. And if you want to join in the art challenge, I will have the challenge character outline in the description. And all you need to do is come up with your design. And then once the video is posted, come back here, put a link to the image wherever it is on your gallery, and I will add it in. And if you win, then you can pick out any item in the Swatches art store, and I will make sure that gets to you. As far as other things going on, I will be releasing the Making Liliana video, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. It'll be getting to patrons tomorrow. I don't know if I'll have it up for store purchase until Thursday. But it will be focused on the creation process of commissions and what to focus on, what to achieve during the rough sketches, what to look at and questions to answer during the refining stage, reassessing stage. And we go through the whole thing. We just go through what to achieve and look out for at each stage. Honestly, I think it is one of my better videos. It's pretty concise. It's got some good information in it and just steps you through the creation process. So that's pretty good. If you want to get the videos for the best price, become a patron. If you want to support the channel, become a patron. We also do have the monthly art challenges out there, which is more in-depth and bigger challenges, more difficult challenges than what these little weekly ones are. Those are basically character designs. So thanks again for everybody joining me, and until I see you next time, keep drawing.